watchman, forever vigilant, steady watching and listening, disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word, yo, still we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One of a show, let's go.
Let's get to some Zack Snyder conversation. They're gonna hit me for that one. They probably gonna ding my video for that music. But Zack Snyder on Instagram. Been an interesting journey with Zack Snyder on Instagram for the past 5 months. We know the stuff he's been posting, behind the scenes stuff with BVS and Man of Steel, ZSJL. Zack saying there's more to come. Can't wait to do more stories. That's what Zack was saying. All right. And we see the latest stuff he's posting. He even got some Watchmen stuff on here. Never before seen Batman shots. And each post is like, it's just blowing up. You got more Amber Heard, Mara, Nightmare movie. Make the Nightmare movie. And of course, you got some last photograph stuff. I think visually that's going to look amazing when the last photograph comes out. But again, he's posting Henry Cavill. Now, I've said, I've given my take on this, but I just want to reiterate. I've been told for the last several years, Zack Snyder will do DC again. So I've always believed that. I believe that's going to happen one way or another. I believe that's going to happen. And then when Zack Snyder gets active, for the OGs knowing the release of Snyder Cut days, when Zack gets active, we get active, and something's happening behind the scenes. When he was back in the day, he was dropping dark side pictures and hyping us up. And we didn't know at that time he was negotiating with AT&T and Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut. He dropped the Crisis Turkey. This was in 2021? The Crisis Turkey. He had the final Crisis in the back, that Thanksgiving picture. And then after that, I started hearing, oh, Ben is back, Cavill's back. Now we understand as of 180 things, but DeLuca and Abdi was going to do one last ride to Snyderverse. So when Zack Snyder, my point, when Zack Snyder hints towards stuff, when he's active, usually something's going on behind the scenes. Compared to what we had in the past with Zack being active, this is blowing, what he's doing now on Instagram, this is blowing everything he's done before away. We've never seen him this in tune like this. And a part of me, because you saw Gal Gadot kind of got involved a little bit, and that was interesting. I'm waiting for Cavill. Momoa is going to get involved. I'm waiting for Cavill, because Cavill's on Instagram. Cavill was there when Zack Snyder released, when he announced the release of Snyder Cut. I want to, because he's been posting Cavill a lot. I just want to see Cavill just throw. Maybe he's liked one of the posts. He just hasn't said anything. I don't know. I'm sure people look up people's likes and stuff. Maybe Cavill's already liked a couple posts. But if Cavill kind of just throws a little word in there, like, hey, I reckon this is great. It's just something. I just think that would just blow up so crazy. It's already blowing up what Zack is doing. This is a side thing that I'm just kind of noticing. It's not Cavill style. Yeah, like I said, he showed up when the deal was done. Cavill showed up, when it was time to release the Snyder Cut. He's very business-like, Cavill is. So he's probably like, hey, nothing's signed, sealed yet, so I'm not going You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say nothing. Let's see. I hope that Snyder has the production rights to Rebel Moon so he can finish that story even without Netflix. That's the funny style with Netflix. This is why I was favoring Paramount, because it's just a relationship. I'm just looking straight up. I know 4 years ago, 3 years ago, if we heard, oh, Netflix can buy DC, guaranteed we was getting the Snyder restore easily, right? But now, when you're seeing Netflix stalling on Rebel Moon and the Army verse, the LA SWAT film, that story's come out. They didn't want to give Zack the proper money to make the film. Twilight of the Gods, they allowed all these other animated shows getting 2 or 3 seasons, and you didn't get a second season of that. It just, Netflix, I felt, is moving a little funny, specifically with Zack Snyder. Then you look at Paramount, and again, you got the Saudis tied into that. Stone Quarry is already doing that film with Turkey Al-Sheikh for the Brawler. So easily they would do Jail 2 in theaters. So that's why I was always leaning towards Paramount. And hey, I mean, they may swoop in. They may. But we'll see, what I'm saying, overall, as far as just that relationship with Netflix is a little funny style right now. Mr. J says Zack is friends with the future owners of WB, the Saudi Prince. Zack is going to work on some of his old projects. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. So let's see. I miss when DC was serious and different from Marvel. And that's the thing. It's like I'm about the genre, and it just so happens Zack Snyder has done the greatest DC stuff I've seen. Like my experience in BVS in theaters, or Man of Steel, starting with Man of Steel, just I was like, this is how DC can be. And then, I was one of the few people that seen ZSJL and IMAX. And I was just like, how did I even it was made for IMAX. Zack Snyder's Justice League, like, it was literally made. Everyone should be able to experience that. And then I say that, obviously a fan of Zack Snyder, and then also too, DC overall, I want DC to always be good. So when James Gunn's Superman was coming out, I wasn't hoping it was trash. It's not the best Superman film ever. I don't think it's the worst either. But what tells you about a film is months after you've seen it or the next year, how often do you go back to it? How often do you linger watching it? And I'm talking about just strictly CBM geek stuff. I don't go back, like I go back to Winter Soldier all the time, right? Infinity War. I'm talking about Marvel, but I'm just saying, obviously Man of Steel, BVS, ZSJL, Nolan, the Batman Begins. I go back to that more than The Dark Knight, actually, right? Tim Burton, 89. I go to 89 more than Batman Returns. Schumacher, I watch those all the time. It just how long do these movies live with you, right? That's how I judge these films. So with James Gunn's Superman, I'm just like, okay, it happened. It's out there, and okay, they're doing Man of Tomorrow. I want something a little more epic just than what I got. Okay, that's just how I feel about that, right? And I think with James Gunn, we knew James Gunn's style. So I'm not surprised at the film that we ended up with, James Gunn's Superman. And when I'm saying Man of Tomorrow has to be like his BVS, I think we've seen all of James Gunn's range. He's great actually writing characters and stuff. He's actually good at that. But for that epic DC swing, I need more, right? And Gunn isn't the guy for me for that. Gunn It's great with like obscure characters, like Guardians worked out for him. It was kind of given to him on a silver platter by Nicole Perlman. But I don't feel like getting canceled again about that. But but Gunn put his flavor, and Guardians, that trilogy is what it is. And a big part of that is James Gunn. I'm gonna give him credit for the trilogy overall. With DC, we saw the Suicide Squad. We see Peacemaker, which season 2 wasn't that bad until the finale. Creature Commandos. Like, he can write characters. Gunn actually can do that. I don't think he's just like, oh, he's just a hack. Probably like his personality is a hack. But it's like those epic moments. Like, if y'all was here earlier, was watching these trailers, Masters of the Universe, He-Man and Skeletor fighting immediately. This looks epic. Spider Noir, he's busting the pose and swinging. Looks epic, right? You see James Gunn Superman, Mr. Terrific that was a nice scene. It wasn't epic. It was like a cool, like I could watch that scene now. I'm like, oh, that was a cool scene. That was cool. And then I can kind of go away and not really think about it so much. But epic DC, don't get me started on the third act of BVS, the greatest third act in film history. Like, the third act of BVS, and I've said this before, but every time I think of it, I got to say this. The third act starts with the nightmare scene. Right? It did. It's Batman versus Superman. And then the Wonder Woman entrance. And Doomsday. And the death of Superman. The Trinity moment. Oh, that's all in the third act. The Dark Knight Returns homage. That's what makes DC epic. And you can have these little character stories in between there, but I can't put this on level of epicness, right? But anyway, I was going on a tangent there. I want to get through this and get to the rumor. But I agree with you, okay? I agree with you. Our favorite Netflix. I'm just saying Dan Lin don't like Snyder. Allegedly. Did you see a shell on Paramount? That's the new hashtag. I mean, if the DOJ follows through, blocks this, Paramount's signaling that, hey, we can get past this step. We'll see. All right, we'll see. Technically, Paramount if you line up Netflix and Paramount side by side right now, Paramount is further ahead, even without a deal. They're further ahead with the DOJ than Netflix. That's where we're at right now. And Netflix has to pass this hurdle or they're not going to get this. So. See, Sarandos was on Matt Baloney's The Town podcast. He seemed to indicate that Netflix is out of the Zack Snyder and Russo brothers business. What? I gotta watch that clip. I didn't hear about that. I thought the Netflix Zack Snyder relationship was funny style, like already. And so, give me more about that. I would love to look that up. Yeah. Let me catch up what y'all saying. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Because like I said, again, on my platform, I'm objective. I talk about things with nuance. And so I know, there's people automatically saying, oh, Superman's gonna be trash. It's like, I get it. You just, that's just what you're on. You have a right to just reject it outright, right? I give things a chance. I do. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. And so Superman, like I said, James Gunn Superman, I think James Gunn, he's a good writer. He's an above average writer. But it just DC, I need when you got Superman. I need more there. I need more of a punch in the film. You know, I can still say I can enjoy it for what it is, but I need more. And Man of Tomorrow, I'm not expecting more. I'm expecting more of what James Gunn does. And just that's it. Is it even the crappy DC films Flash? Now, first off, Flash is not a crappy film. Okay. I watch it probably once a week. Okay. So we're of no Flash slander. And just like Black Adam, because there's a personal connection with those films for me. I was getting a lot of information about those films. So you can never make me hate those films. But Superman Returns plane scene. Now, this is interesting. Superman plane scene, is that better? You're talking about in Superman Returns, right? And that's really the one scene that's good in that film to me, Superman Returns. Does that clear everything Gunn did in Superman 2025? I will put the Mr. Terrific scene over the plane scene. I would. But it was kind of like more at stake in the Superman Returns. So that's arguable. That's debatable. Because in James Gunn's Superman, I was going into that film thinking, okay, the kaiju moment was going to be great, and it was just kind of like a gag, right? That was the main thing I was looking forward to for the film. So imagine me in the theater. I'm like, oh, that's it. I just made it to a joke. Oh man, like I kind of wanted more with that. Like I said, Mr. Terrific, great moment there. You may have an argument with that one. Superman Returns plane scene. I'm gonna have to put that one in the chat right there. And looking at the vote, they're saying too many YouTube ads. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, y'all. That's I definitely don't want this interrupted so much while it's live. But let's put that poll out there about. Let's see. Superman Returns plane scene better than anything in Superman. Let's say James Gunn Superman. Let's throw that out there. Cause like I said, I was just kind of thinking about it out loud. That's kind of wild. That's kind of wild right there. And the warehouse scene, right? How did I forget the warehouse scene? Like that's the biggest. I named like 7 things. That's how much is in that third act. That's insane, right? Let's see. Yeah, Scott Stuber was definitely a Snyder guy. Shin, I agree with you on that. Can't believe out of all that I didn't mention the warehouse scene. Like in the theaters watching the warehouse scene for BVS. Like I've never been so pumped up in a theater. Like because Man of Steel Krypton sequence that was gripping, and I was like, oh, and the fight in Smallville, just everything with Zod and Superman fighting. That I was up there, but that warehouse scene in BVS, man, I was like, nothing is topping this. That was like my favorite moment in theaters for a CBM film ever. Batman warehouse scene. Bar none. You name any other DC moment, Marvel moment. The warehouse scene is better than the whole, people like the end game, where they all come back in the portals. That's great. That's a great moment. Warehouse scene is better than anything. So yeah, I gotta look that up. Popcorn Geek. I gotta see what that's about there. Cause I may have to do a video on that if he's talking greasy about Zach. We have to see. That plane scene is sick. Clears everything. Everybody saying clears easily. Clears. Clears. See, the entirety. See, I wouldn't say the entire Superman Returns film is better, but that scene, I would say, that sequence, plane sequence from Superman Returns, that may have cleared everything in Superman 2025. I may have to agree with you on that. Oh man. Let's see. The bullet in the eye. No, that was corny. That was corny. That bullet in the eye. That was corny. That's crazy. Yeah, Scott Stuber. So yeah, so the point is, again, just we're talking about epic DC and what, I've always believed Zack was going to do DC again. I believe he's teasing this stuff for a reason. I don't think Zack Snyder would be misleading, his core fan base. And it's like I said, these posts are blowing up, and and on top of that, even the haters, everyone ended up liking Zack Snyder's Justice League. Some may have complained a little bit, it's 4 hours and things like that, but whatever issues people felt they had with Man of Steel and BVS, Zack actually corrected that stuff in real time for Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it's like you would have got more, for the rest of the 5-part arc. Zack knew what the audience really wanted, all of us. So it just, yeah. That's just wild. Lighthearted DC content should be compared to Pixar, DreamWorks at the box office. They're competing for the same audience. But serious DC content to make $1 billion says a lot. Man, that's Batman, right? Batman is a good chance to make $1 billion. So interesting stuff. So yeah, just addressing that though, global phenomenon, exactly. Zack's active, we're active. We're waiting for whatever shoe to drop for Zack to tell us more. Obviously, if I hear something, we're going to, definitely talk about it. But we're going to cover. There's a rumor floating around out there, and we should address it. So it's time for the session, rumor roulette, aka roulette. Let's go. So, roulette. Let's see. Let's get these commercials out the way here. Oh, it was already out the way. Let's see. So yeah, right now it's about 90% getting two. Oh no, we're talking about the Superman Returns plane scene. We got a few no's, so not everyone thinks the plane scene. But with that question being asked to me live, and I actually, I was thinking of the Superman 2025, and I'm thinking of what stood out to me, and then judging it with that plane scene, I'm like, that sequence probably does clear everything. That probably did clear that entire film. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Rumor of the night of the show. Now, leading up to this, we talked about the possibility of Zack Snyder Dark Knight Returns, right? There was some whisperings and rumors that Zack Snyder wanted to make that happen. I've always been told Ben Affleck would do the Dark Knight Returns Batfleck film now or 10 years from now. Ben feels like he can do this film at any time if things falls in place. And then that story was talking about the potential of Zack Snyder doing Dark Knight Returns on Netflix. And if Ben is involved, Ben and with Matt Damon, Artist Equity, they are building a nice little relationship with Netflix. the Rip film, with that whole crime drama type film, that genre. That's, peak entertainment, in my opinion. And so maybe they'll do more projects, artist equity with Netflix. You get Zack, you get Ben, you want to do the Batfleck Dark Knight Returns on Netflix, right? So the possibility has been chattered about, has been rumored about. I haven't heard anything directly when we talked about the possibility of this. I still haven't heard. All I've leaned on was what I've been told for the last couple of years, that Zack will do DC again. I totally believe Paramount would do, again, Justice League 2 in theaters. Netflix, I thought maybe you get a Nightmare series or something. I don't know about theaters. I don't know, right? So after that story came out about Zack Snyder want to do Dark Knight Returns, Zack posts on Instagram, right? We just had this on Instagram. He posted. Let's throw this up here real quick. Move this out the way. All right, he posted this Potter thing, and he had Dark Knight Returns in the back. I was like, oh. I'm like, Zack, you know, everyone's been talking about Dark Knight Returns all on social media. Zack knows what his fandom's talking about. And Zack posts, hey, I got some Clayworks here in my studio. And you got Dark Knight Returns just sitting. So I was like, oh, I think this is real, that Zack will want to do some version of a Dark Knight Return. It could just be furthering the Batfleck story. It could be, because I always said at the end of the Snyder Cut, at the end, Zack had Batfleck on the Bat tank, and it looked like the mutants from Dark Knight Returns was tied up on the ground. So I was like, Zack is hinting at Dark Knight Returns, because the Bat tank is from Dark Knight Returns. And the mutants, it looks like they're the mutants. So I was like, is Batman's story about to go? What's going on here, right? So with all that speculation, and Zack posts this, again, that's the Dark Knight Returns on the left there. I was like, hey, this could be some real traction that Zack wants to do this, right? So I was with that rumor. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Now, the further in this rumor is that it's being said, now this is a small screen, so shout out to my friends at Small Screen. I don't think this report is coming directly from them. I think they're covering someone else's rumor with this via Screen Brief. So I don't know how reliable they are, but they're saying Zack Snyder has already pitched a Watchmen-style solo Batfleck movie to Netflix. So it's a progression of the rumor. I believe, look, Zack already said he would do a Dark Knight Returns. Now, will it be a straight page to screen like Watchmen? I don't know, right? And obviously, if you have been involved, I'm feeling this needs to be connected to Snyderverse. Like, this has to be something. Is this the Batfleck movie? Because we got no other details, right? Is this the story? Are they going to adapt the story that Ben wrote? And maybe that story hints towards Dark Knight Returns. I don't know, right? We'll see with that. But I do believe this Dark Knight Returns story is real. Zack already said he would do a story like that. And he posted that on Instagram after the rumors hit. Now it's being said Zack has already pitched the idea. That's interesting. Now, that's, again, hinging on if Netflix gets through this tough DOJ process, like will they make it to even be able to do DC on Netflix? That's one thing. Also, too, I mean, again, the Paramount side of this is, I think we're going all out theaters. And I think you're talking about JO2 in theaters. And I think you still could do a Batfleck or a Dark Knight Returns with Paramount as well, obviously. But this is a rumor saying, again, a step further, that it appears Zack is already talking to people about doing this film. We got another screenshot This from the Maximus Decimus account. Now, again, this account just says interesting stuff. So I'm just I'm just bringing this up because again, this is talking about the progression of that rumor. First, let me check the chat real quick. Yeah, the ripple's fire. The ripple stuff. Whoever said Ben's too old for Batman's line. Oh yeah, like I said, Ben. 2030, Ben Affleck will do Dark Knight Returns. 10 years from now, he'll do it if the opportunity. If people allowed Michael Keaton to come back at like 70, and I saw a lot of people getting excited online, like, "Oh yeah, Keaton, he's kicking butt again." You saying Ben's too old? Come on now, don't do that. And of course, you got stuntmen and stuff. Don't do that. So okay, let's go. Let's see what they're saying here. Maximus Decimus says a bold new Batman vision may be taking shape outside the DCU. Now, as I go through this, I will chime in, just my takes on this, right? So, and even if I'm hearing anything, that's what rumor roulette is, right? Zack Snyder has reportedly pitched a standalone Watchmen-style project inspired by The Dark Knight Returns. Now, I will say, like I said, I'm leaning more towards if Zack was to do Dark Knight Returns, that it won't be just a straight up like page to screen. I just feel it's not going to be directly that story, but hinting heavily towards it, right? That's just what I feel. It says the concept is said to be frame accurate, dark, completely separate from his previous DC work. So this account is saying it won't be connected to the 5-part arc or to whatever the Batfleck movie that Ben wrote. How do we feel about, again, this is rumor, right? I haven't received any confirmation one way or the other on this. This is a conversation we kind of have to have. Like, how will we feel about that? If it's not connected, it's a standalone project. Now, obviously, I would take it. And I would say, I'm just going to kind of say it. I wonder if you even use Ben for this. I wonder if you just probably don't use Ben. I'm just throwing ideas out there. This is interesting. I mean, again, this is according to what they're saying. So the idea focuses on an older, battle-worn Batman, with fans hoping Ben Affleck could return as a hardened, experienced Dark Knight. This version would emphasize psychology, moral conflict, emotional weight over traditional superhero spectacle. So a stripped-down film. I mean, obviously, I want Ben to do this. Like, I'm just thinking out loud. But I believe, like I said, I believe Zack will do a Dark Knight Returns project. I just think the details, maybe they don't have all these details right. So Snyder's growing partnership with Netflix. We're growing. I'm about to watch that podcast about Matt Baloney and what is it? Sarandos was on there. I'm about to watch that because I don't feel like no growing partnership with Netflix. Because it's fuel speculation that this R-rated style project could finally become possible. Free from shared universe rules, the story could explore deeper themes and more mature storytelling. Let's just say, because the shape that this rumor is taking, they're leaning towards saying is not connected. So I mean, I would take it. I'm just going to say it now. Like, I would take this. Okay. Like, I'm not mad if that's true. I'm just worried about this Netflix partnership. They know something we don't know, because I don't know. I don't know about this Netflix partnership. Because for now, the film remains a dream project. Okay. But if it ever moves forward, it could redefine Batman on screen, become one of the most daring adaptations ever attempted. And their source is Entertainment Insider Reports and fan community speculation. Well, that's I don't like those sources, but So my take overall, though, is that I do believe, Zack said it himself, he would do Dark Knight Returns. I do believe there's some kind of motion with that project, whatever form that takes. And it's Zack that's kind of hinting towards stuff that's, lead me to believe that part. Overall, the report, this rumor, I'm about to look into this Netflix relationship, but Screen Brief is like Australia's deadline. Why would it be separate? That's kind of dumb. Yeah. I said I'm a little iffy on this one as far as the report that we just read. The idea of this project, yes. I believe there's something behind it. And that's what I said with this Rumor Roulette series, that obviously if I hear something, I try to interject. But also, too, a lot of these rumors, and I'm going to pull this back up here. A lot of these rumors, what I'm learning is sometimes part of it could actually be true. And then they're just kind of throwing stuff against the wall around it. But they may actually get one real line of information. In this story here, what part of this could be true? I'm not sure if Zack, especially if he uses Ben, I don't think Zack will make this separate. Like, he could make this and it would have to be tied in somehow. So that's the part that I'm kind of pushing back against with this report. A standalone project, I believe that could be a case. But again, it could just be kind of like a separate story, but it's still in that world, right? That's kind of where I'm at with that. Y'all let me know in the comments below, whether live or on replay, how we feel. This rumor is progressing. I believe, like I said, there's something behind it because Zack, threw up that Dark Knight Returns post after the online buzz came out about Dark Knight Returns. So I believe that part of it. The details, I'm not sure about all these details, but we'll keep digging on that overall. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Zack is very intentional. He's aware of what we're talking about, especially when he's on Instagram now. Because I'm just showing y'all the timeline. People was talking about this over a week ago. That Phantom Wire article, that talk about something happening in April, I heard that a month ago. But I wasn't going to run loose rumors at that time, so I didn't really follow up because it didn't seem like that was solid. So all this rumors, all the stuff has come out. The tweets have been shared. Everyone's kind of just, whispering about it. Then Zack Snyder posts this. Now, what are we seeing here? Just so people realize what we're seeing. You see his clay sculptures, right? And then on the far left, that's a cover. That is the Dark Knight Returns sitting in his studio. So you had a lot of speculation about Zack Snyder and the Dark Knight Returns for a week or two. Then Zack Snyder posts this. No, I just got some clay sculptures here. And you have Dark Knight Returns sitting right there on the left. Just randomly. Zack just says, hey, just down in my studio, Arroyo Clay Works. Because he sells these clay sculptures and stuff. Handcraft. While looking at the Dark Knight Returns comic. What are you up to, Zack Snyder? Because Zack knows this was the big rumor. Everyone was speculating about Dark Knight Returns on social media for the past week at least. You decide to post this now. Interesting. Kind of reminds you, same energy. In 2021, Thanksgiving of 2021, kind of same energy. Zack Snyder, if people remember the Crisis Turkey, heard around the world. Zack, it's like, oh, happy Thanksgiving. Right in the back there, you got the Final Crisis Omnibus. And I think he has the sketch books on top of it. So it's probably his storyboards, his new storyboards. Feels like 2019 again, right? Now, I know online people, because I was like, this is total same energy. Okay. So the Crisis Turkey, again, it was Thanksgiving 2021. Zack posts this, right? Then in 2022, that's when I started getting information. Cavill's coming back, Ben's coming back. They're going to put Cavill in the Flash room. This all happened after the Crisis Turkey, because people was trying to say online, well, I was like, oh, same energy. He put Final Crisis with the Turkey. Now you got Dark Knight Returns with the Clay. They're like, well, nothing happened in 2021. Well, let me remind people. Again, after this Turkey happened, I started getting direct sources of Henry Cavill and Black Adam. And they started writing Man of Steel 2. I got the story. I was a lone person that got the story of Ben Affleck and Aquaman 2. And then Jason Momoa confirmed me 48 hours later that Ben Affleck was on set. Then it came out that DeLuca and Abdi wanted to do one last ride of the Snyderverse. That's what happened after the Crisis Turkey. Okay? So people act like this just came and went and nothing happened. Now, again, we understand what happened with the Black Adam, and they really fumbled bringing Cavill back. They didn't like how Black Adam performed, so they 180'd. Gunn and Safran comes in. Gunn says, I have my own Superman. So they killed the Man of Steel 2 project. This all happened. They was going to have a Flash sequel, because at the end of Flash, you would have had Cavill as Clark Kent meeting his cousin, Sasha Calle Supergirl. That was setting up Man of Steel 2. They was going to have Brainiac in that. Michael Keaton was going to be there, and they was going to do Batman Beyond. They was going to do a Batman Beyond project spent off of the Flash film. And then Ben Affleck was going to be lost in time at the end of the Flash film, setting up the Flash sequel, which would have been a team-up film. But it wasn't solid if it was going to be like a straight-up JL film or it's a team-up film. But they were setting up the last ride of the Snyderverse. Wonder Woman 3 was going to happen as well in that sequence. So this all was happening after the Crisis Turkey, right? People back in the days would release the Snyder Cut days. When Zack gets active, we're active. He was dropping the pictures of Darkseid and everything like that. And the whole time Zack's in there negotiating, this is in 2019, negotiating with AT&T. And he didn't announce it. They didn't close everything until 2020, May of 2020. So do we see like a theme here? Zack is teasing stuff 2019. It's announced in 2020. Zack teases the Crisis Turkey in 2021. Then I was reporting Ben and Cavill back 2022. Zack is teasing Dark Knight Returns 2025, 2026. Now people are saying, we're expecting to hear something by April. I don't know. I don't know the exact time if we're going to hear something. But I just know this is the same energy, like 2019, like 2021. Now we're in 2026. And when Zack is teasing, and this whole time Zack has been posting stuff, I'm like, oh, something's happening behind the scenes. We've been through this twice now. We've been through this in 2019 and 2021. So something's happening behind the scenes. We never hear it instantly. We hear it months, things have to close, contracts has to, be together. Something's happening, y'all. Okay? So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. So a lot's been said about James Gunn's DCU box office performances. A lot's been covered regarding the Superman film and how much it made or didn't make. They claim to have a certain amount of profit. Just going to state that and go forward, because that's a whole different debate. The box office performance of these of a couple of these films is going to determine how long James Gunn sticks around and Peter Safran, of course, because I'm of the opinion, let's say Netflix closes the deal, I think there's going to be some type of restructuring of DC Studios. Now, will that include Gunn and his plans? We'll see, right? But we're going to look forward to a couple films that's coming up. We're just going to grab a few. Batman Part 2, a lot of promise for this film. Really, what Matt Reeves has done with the first Batman film, which, I wasn't the biggest fan of Part 1. The Penguin series, I thought was a great showcase of his Gotham. So I'm on board for Part 2, October 1st, 2027 release, a prime release date. Box office estimate, $750 million to $1 billion. Now, what I've learned this past summer with the James Gunn Superman is that I'm going to lean more towards the domestic numbers of stuff. So I'm not ready to say anything just a straight up billion unless you come out of the gates swinging. Batman could do something like that. So that's the point I'm trying to make. Like Avengers, I think is going to come out of the gate crazy for Marvel. Spider-Man. So it's just certain IPs, is in a good place. The brand name for box office. And I think Batman will fall into that category. And just to make it clear, these estimations are from the direct.com. This is their website. And they have different people that plug in their sources and stuff. So, of course, this is all, again, speculation. But I'm leaning, again, more towards the high end for Matt Reeves, the Batman. Then you got ScarJo, you got Sebastian Stan. So you got Two-Face. And maybe, will they do some kind of Phantasm thing? They really should. Like Reeves, don't miss this opportunity and set up the Court of Owls. Like, stop playing. Now, still in the Batman territory, and as I said, the timeline for James Gunn is, you have 2026 here. Before, again, we're assuming Netflix is going to win the bid. Before they move into the building there, you got all of 2026 to do your Lantern series. And we'll focus on box office here. Supergirl, Clayface, you got that focus. You're about to make Man of Tomorrow. That's going to release. Reeves Batman. By the time Man of Tomorrow comes out in 2027, that's when Netflix will, again, be in the building in this scenario. And I think a restructuring, again, will happen. And I think at that time, it will likely be decided, are they even going to make the Brave and the Bold film? Or what is this? Where it's like, you don't want to get too far ahead of Man of Tomorrow, because there were reports out there of Wonder Woman, DCU Wonder Woman. They're trying to fast track a Wonder Woman film. But I was told, and this is what I shared, is it's not about fast tracking Wonder Woman film. They are fast tracking her appearance, and she's likely going to show up in Man of Tomorrow. Because I'm not sure if that was the original plan, right? Gunn has to make Man of Tomorrow as big as possible. And you may want to consider folding Batman, fast-tracking that into Man of Tomorrow as well. You may want to consider that, making that a mini Justice League team-up. who knows if you're going to have a chance after Man of Tomorrow. So you got to shoot all your bullets probably now. I think we should hold off on Brave and the Bold forecast, and also DCU Wonder Woman. I think we should hold off and see if these films are going to actually be made the way that they're intending. The aforementioned Man of Tomorrow film, again, the stakes of this film has ratcheted up. Let's say Warner Bros. Was not selling in the next couple of years, then I think, well, I know Zaslav and everyone under Warner Bros. Discovery, they were very comfortable with, again, the Superman film performance in 2025. And they liked that Gunn was expanding the IP, spin-off shows on streaming. And they thought, it was a good start to a new cinematic universe, and they could breathe a little bit. But that time has been, again, accelerated because of the sale that's coming. BVS 2.0, you got the release date July 9th, 2027. Now, the direct.com, again, this is the site that we're on. Their global box office estimate, again, just according to just early speculation, and they probably have some sources or whatever, 600 to 800 million. Now, this is what I was told like a month ago, that the range is pretty much, expecting more of the same. They're not expecting they like what they got from Superman 2025, 614 million. And they thought, again, that was good enough, and you could build from there. And then you look at the markets, again, a lot of things about just how you perform in certain markets. Domestically, they feel they're in a good place. They feel, you get good repeat business, people returning. Some international markets, though, it is what it is. Like, it didn't do great in China, Japan, France, Germany, and some other territories, some other key territories. They underperformed in UK, but I think UK will return in a good way for this franchise. So, where are you going to get this extra sales from? Like, domestically, I can't imagine this doing much better than what it did domestically. I can't imagine this hitting 400 domestically, right? Unless it just comes out booming. Again, this is long-term forecast. But let's say you get 400 domestically, then where's your 300-400 internationally? I don't really see this getting 300 internationally unless something drastically changes with film within the next year. Films outside of Avengers, outside of Spider-Man. As far as what I was told last month, is that this would probably be more of the same repeat business. Now, what could that mean for the DCU? Because like I said, I think everything is determined. James Gunn's future is going to be determined by Man of Tomorrow. If it's just within that 600, 650 range, like the first one, then, is this franchise growing? Now, obviously, if it gets 700, closer to 800, then they're going to feel really good. Is the excitement really there? It's going to be a lot of questions. And that is a lot of pressure, right? That is a lot of pressure on the film. Is it unfair pressure? I don't want to say it's anything unfair. This is business. You got Superman, Lex Luthor taking on Brainiac. That alone should be epic enough, right? That should sell the film, like visually. But we got to see, like, visually. I mean, James Gunn has some interesting stuff in Superman 2025 with the kaiju. I thought that was going to be a grand moment, and it really was kind of more made of a joke, in my opinion. So it's like, okay, I didn't really get epic enough with the kaiju fighting Ultraman and the Engineer. Again, behind the scenes, I thought that was going to be an incredible battle, and that was kind of a fast resolution as well. So I have been a little underwhelmed of the action. It should outperform, according to the direct.com, they feel it will outperform the original Superman film, but the expectation should be tempered. This is what they're saying. You get Supergirl here with Millie Alcock. I've been sold on her being Supergirl and how they're going to push her. I think she's going to be a star. Seeing the trailer, I mean, the good news is Millie Alcock. It seems like she's going to nail this role. The bad news is not Supergirl, the brand. This is very entry level. And so it's smart that they put out there that they didn't spend too much money on this film. Because last month I was told about the expectations. Let's look at their expectations for the box office, and then I'll fill in what I said before, but as far as what I was hearing. Supergirl release date June 26, 2026. Looking forward to that this summer. Global box office estimate 475 to 525. So really talking about 500 or less. That's literally what I was told a month ago, right? And really, that felt like it was the ceiling, 500. You're really looking at like a 400 plus range. That's Black Adam territory, right? Now, Black Adam, the difference between Supergirl movie and Black Adam in 2022 is that they spent too much money on Black Adam in 2022. So it was hard to spend that you made just under 400 million, right, for Black Adam. So unfortunately, Supergirl, you come out, and as I was told, they're expecting Black Adam performance or a little better, but they only spent 100 million. So they floated that out there. And that's why I was told that they're going to say, hey, we're tempering, we just spent this much. And so they, if this film comes out and does like 375, they could spin it. They could spin it and say, we did enough. And with the Supergirl, again, I know a lot of people are excited. I've been excited for this film. I think this is going to be a good film. That's the thing. Like, I think this is going to be a good film. I just hated the trailer was selling something that it just wasn't selling what I was thinking this film was going to be, like an anti-hero type film. Is what the director said that he made. Craig Gillespie has a quote out there saying he made an anti-hero film. You watch the Supergirl trailer, I'm not getting anti-hero vibes. Like, great line about the difference between her and Superman. That's a great line. I just wish they would have leaned into, like, hey, this is going to be, she definitely ain't Superman, and here's why. She's murking people, right? And then you have Lobo. The Lobo angle, which is like a blink and you miss it in the trailer. I think this film may have been a missed opportunity where, okay, you want to make a Supergirl story. Now we know it's not strictly based on the comic Woman of Tomorrow. They're taking a lot of elements, a lot of aesthetics from it. It's not going to be fully that story. So if you're taking those liberties, you should have made this Supergirl and Lobo. That should have been the film. You should have had Jason Momoa in this film as much as possible so you could really market him and Supergirl. And I think this would have, again, turned out to be a pretty good movie either way. I still think this film's going to be fine, but I understand why the box office, the long-term forecast seems to be pretty tempered, seems to be in line, again, what I heard last month. Well, hey, you never know. Of course, this is what forecast is, right? You could want this film to make $1 billion. That's great. We won't know until this film comes out. I always use the example of Minecraft, where that film, that was only expected to get about 50 million as opening weekend, and then it just exploded worldwide and made nearly $1 billion. So obviously outliers can happen, but these forecasts, they usually peg these things more than not. According to the direct, this is a wild card film. And it doesn't seem to be conceivable that it will make as much as Superman. This is what they're saying. Again, they're not going to put as much marketing as they did with Superman because the Superman brand is just internationally known. Since these early expectations are going to be out there, I don't think this film's performance, Supergirl, I don't think this performance is going to look at this as some kind of negative for James Gunn and Peter Safran. I don't see this film doing that. I don't see them being judged off of this film's box office performance. So here's Clayface. This is a highly anticipated film, personally, and it's been well documented. They only spent $40 million to make this DC horror film. I've always been expecting some kind of Batman silhouette that would help sell this film, overall. But because of just the supremely low budget, you just come out with a solid story. And yes, you got to market this right. That's one thing with DC. They had some hiccups with the Superman marketing. I'm already not liking how they're marketing Supergirl. So I wonder if this is going to affect the performance of Clayface. The fact that DC hasn't really been marketing, in my opinion, that well. Clayface release date September 11th, 2026. Now, according to the direct, their global box office estimate is 200 to 250 million. And honestly, I think that's too high. I think, and I haven't been told anything directly with Clayface like I have been with Supergirl and Man of Tomorrow. But this Clayface film, again, 40 million, relatively unknown to the general audience. Clayface, okay, it's saying it's a DC Comics thing. So, okay, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Clayface. So you're not going to get a lot of, advertisers throwing dollars to this, right? That's one thing. So you're going to have a small marketing push. And again, this falls into this film just has to be good, and you got to market it well. Visually, it has to look good as well. I think with low budget horror films, you can't expect things to be like The Conjuring this past year, or Weapons, where I think they both made over 400 million on a low budget horror film. I mean, are you coming something like, that level? I don't think so. Again, it's just early speculation. Long story short, I think this film, I think definitely be under 200 million, definitely closer to 100 million than 200. Now, you could make a profit with that. Maybe they think this could be like a Joker phenomenon, right? But people know Joker, you know what I mean? We're talking about general audience. People know Joker. So definitely let me know in the comments below, how are you feeling about these long-term forecasts? Again, these are just early speculative numbers. Some is lining up with what I heard already, and some, just maybe it'll outperform these forecasts.